It's less than a week to opening day, and Pablo Lopez looks ready to go for his grudge match against Sonny Gray. Neither pitcher carries a grudge, probably. It's just fun to pretend it's like pro wrestling. Speaking of which, before we get you in a figure four leg lock, you've got to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Doggone right it is. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer since Vern Gagne's grandson, Eric, was wrestling for the Dodgers. I'm also a BBWA member, and I'm a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who'd probably like to smash some Guardian's face right in the solar plexus. But he won't because he believes in the peace. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both as the site expert at Puckett's Pond, a blog about the Twins. Go read Puckett's Pond. I sort of read that like Greg Masterson. On the podcast today, Pablo warms up for the opener with 3 scoreless innings against the Phillies. Is he going to have a great season from the start to the finish and not just a good second half? Betsy asked some possibly uncomfortable questions of Pablo. What's up with that, Pablo? What's up with the half-season thing? Max Kepler talked to the Twins writers, or at least Betsy in the Pioneer Press, about how he's getting on with his life after he's been moved on to Philly and free agency. He sounded a little sad about it. Well, so are we. And did you know it's a really good deal for a family of 4 to watch a game at Target Field, even if you have to share the same hat? And with that, we must inform you that today's episode of Locked On Twins is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel right now and start gambling. Brandon, it's 6 days to opening day. Pablo, he hasn't had a clean spring, let's just say. He's given up some runs. I don't know what he was saying. He's like, well, I got to hit 2 strikes, and then I just didn't try to put people away. That's what he said in previous starts. This time, he had a clean enough game. He didn't allow any runs. He looks like he's ready to go. Betsy, though, asked him, like, hey, Pablo, what's the deal? You had a great second half in the last 2 seasons, and the first half wasn't as good as the second half. What can we do about putting a whole season together? And then Pablo went like this to Betsy, like, do you have any idea how hard this job is? He didn't really. But what kind of season do you think we're about to get from one Pablo Lopez? And I wish there were 2, but there's only 1.
I'm not really sure because I'm trying not to take too much from spring training, and then again, he's kind of mirrored that trend. He was worse to start spring training than he was to finish it, and so sometimes art imitates life. But he's the player I'm the probably most trusting of getting the most out of their value in a season, or the most of their abilities, because he's just so cerebral. He's so in tune with everything he does that I feel like even if he starts off slow, I'm going to have all the confidence in the world that he'll turn it around. So I don't know if that's, me kind of tiptoeing around the subject itself, but I'm expecting a very good season, hopefully his best as a Twin. And, we'll see from there, because I think this rotation especially is a lot better than people are giving credit for. I think what's funny is, like, there's some national types who are talking about the Twins. There's some national types who are scoffing at the Twins. And then I feel like local fans are totally not sure what to do with any of that. And so I'm eager to see, hopefully, this team play to its talent level, which in my opinion would put them near or at the top of the entire AL. So I think Pablo is going to be a big part of that. And hopefully they can set the tone on opening day against, we think, Sonny Gray.
I think I mean, I believe they announced that.
Okay, I was looking for it today and didn't see it, but I didn't look that hard.
Oh, well, I mean, I suppose I could have imagined it, but I believe it is supposed to be Sonny Gray on opening
Well,
day.
and for any worries you have of Pablo's spring, I think they're doubly so for the Phillies, because Sonny or not,
The
sorry, the
Cardinals.
Cardinals. Sorry,
Different red team.
different red team. I get them confused sometimes. Sonny has had a really rough spring. He's older than Pablo. He's making a healthy chunk of money, still has another year on the deal, and St. Louis would probably just as soon trade him than anything else. And he's just had a really bumpy spring. There's concerns aplenty. It's kind of thumbing through some of the stories that have been written, and there's velocity concerns and pitch quality concerns. And then you know what? He'll probably come out and have, he'll be pitcher of the month in the NL for April, and it'll all be for naught. But I think that the concern around Gray right now is much higher than it would be with Pablo.
Yeah, I mean, you think people worry about the Twins. The Cardinals have some extra high-powered microscopes on them in St. Louis, and it's been a couple of, they don't have a situation exactly like Minnesota. Bill DeWitt, as far as I know, is comfortable owning the team and is not about to sell them, so that's not up in the air. It is another Midwestern city with similar. They were on Bally Sports, and what's Cardinals TV going to look like in the future, and direct to consumer kind of thing. So some similar issues to the Twins, but they have not spent any money the last couple of years either. They've really cut back on their interest in contending. It looks like. I think the Cardinals are a possible last place team. I think there's no question about it. I think they're bound to finish under 500 for sure, and possibly in last place if the Pirates can just get a little. If the Pirates won 10 more games than they did last year, they'd be a playoff contender. Now there's an ownership that doesn't care, and hasn't really done anything to put a team into a contention, but. It's still it all might be enough to put the Cardinals in last place.
I know nothing and I see nothing.
Oh.
For the Pirates too, it'll probably come down to if Jared Jones is healthy, because he came up with I think an elbow today.
You're right.
Yeah, and so we'll see what happens there. But I think you're onto something. I think the Reds nod over there to Jeff Carr and friends. I think they're going to be interesting. I think the Brewers are going to be interesting, but it's a division that one through or top to bottom, I guess, is going to be one of the harder ones to pick in MLB this year. No doubt about that. The Cubs should be decent too.
The Cubs probably are the best team in the Cardinals division, but they seem to get less and less out of their team as years go by too.
Well,
but
my take is that it's going to be hysterical when the 86 win Brewers bounce the Dodgers from the playoffs this year.
Oh man, yeah, there's another guy, Mark Attanasio, who's more interested in collecting sand for his Malibu estate than he is good free agents for the Brewers. So it's I think.
And they traded Mark Canha today. What the heck?
They did. That's actually local news because it's to the Royals, so that might affect the Twins at some point. Canha's he's getting older, but he's a good chap and a right-handed bat who can play maybe left field, although playing left field in Kauffman Stadium's kind of a different ask than it is in Milwaukee or other places.
Yeah, it's a little tricky out there. I was watching some highlights and some old ones, and even Dan Gladden out there looked little worse for the wear. So it doesn't look that wild, but it's definitely a tricky corner. It's not going to make you forget about Cleveland in left field or anything, but it's up there.
I'd like to forget about Cleveland, but that's another matter entirely. So we're going to take our first break, and we'll talk more about what's going on with the Minnesota Twins and ex-Minnesota Twins. Maybe pick up a few loose ends from that game today, right after this moment of message.
Well, March Madness is here. March Sadness is here if your brackets are busted, but FanDuel wants to give you a chance to get in on the action like never before, because right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. That's $200 to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who will cut down the nets at the end of this whole thing. I personally have Auburn. I've had a couple upsets in there that have been kind of nice. I'm sitting little like when they say the quarter pole and it actually means that you're 3/4 of the way through.
Yes.
Whatever the opposite of that is, I'm at about the 1/4 mark for all the different pools that I'm in. I'm doing okay, not doing great, not busted, but we'll see what happens, see what Auburn does, and go from there. FanDuel app, by the way, super easy to use, and when you win, you get paid lickety-split right away. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com, and you can get in on the college hoops action all postseason and all tournament long. And we got to give some love to Gametime. We're talking about NCAA tournament time, and if you were trying to get to one of those games, Gametime would be the place to go. Or MLB opens up in less than a week, and there's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, whether it's the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of that ballpark food, whether it's a 6-foot-long hot dog that they're selling at
6-foot hot dog.
Right. That sounds like a party trick. But if you're looking to go last minute to any of these games, Gametime makes tickets easier than ever for you to get. They have last minute deals, all in pricing, the lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes all the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as Gametime gets closer. So the closer you get to first pitch, the better deal you're going to get. You got a spontaneous game night, you're kicking around and it's 6 o'clock, first pitch at 7, you want to get down there. Fire up Gametime, you're going to get the best possible deals. And it's just my opinion, but you got to toggle that all-in pricing. I want to know what I'm paying from the jump, from the get-go. If my ticket costs $40, I want to know that it's $40 from beginning to end of my transaction. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
The Twins visited Clearwater today, I believe.
Yes.
To play the Phillies, and that means Max Kepler playing the Twins
today
for the first time. Yeah, get it out of the way. He had 2 hits and 2 walks. I think he had a stolen base.
Well, and when it's not him, you don't have to stump the Schwarbs at the top of the lineup.
That's true.
I've been sitting on that one for a while.
I hope it didn't hurt. So Betsy and the gang, I guess, had a chance to talk to Max about him leaving Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he basically grew up with the Twins. Literally, they plucked him off a tramp steamer out of Berlin and brought him over here to the new land from the old country and turned him into a baseball player.
It's like half of his life. I mean, that's significant.
Yes, from a really young age. So the Twins, as Betsy wrote, are all that he knew. And so the free agent situation for him was tough because he was coming off not a great season, a little bit of an injury deal. He had bilateral core surgery right toward the end of right after the season, and he had a knee injury before that, so he wasn't in the best bargaining position. And so he signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Phillies, playing left field instead of right field because they got Castellanos out there. A man of faith in right field. So that's kind of interesting. I kind of switch that around if I were them. I'd put Max in right field, but
yeah,
whatever. We'll see what happens. This is what he said, though. He said it's hard to move on, but it's a business. To be able to have an opportunity as a kid out of Berlin, for them to be patient with me in the minor leagues, patient with me at the big league level, and to give me opportunity after opportunity is what I'm grateful for, he said. So, and he's one of the most proficient prolific Twins players ever. He's got more home runs at Target Field than anyone else. He's 32 years old. 36 of them, by the way, I think Betsy was talking to Greg as she said this. 36 of them came as a member of the Bomba Squad in 2019. So everybody remembers the beloved Bomba Squad from 2019. So Kepler's gone. It's a little sad. It was the right thing to do, just based on Trevor Larnach over here, Matt Wallner over there, Byron in the middle. It didn't really make sense to have another lefty. They had Kirilloff too from before. So we're moving on from Max Kepler. It's a little melancholy though.
Yeah, and I think something that we'll maybe gloss over is that he was better, I think, than maybe fans realize. I thought I saw he was like 22 Fangraphs WAR over his career, which, it's not going to make anybody think, this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. But what percent of big leaguers get to 20 WAR? It's probably 5% at the most. And that's actually, it's probably quite a bit lower than that because of the guys, come up for one game or whatnot. But I mean, as far as everyday players, it's still a very low percentage. So he, definitely made his mark in the organization, and we wish him all the best. But again, at the same time too, it's it was a time for a change, I think, and I don't think either side was particularly happy about it. It wasn't like the Twins had a Max Kepler sized hole being burnt in their pockets or anything like that. But it's just time to have some organizational turnover. And now Byron Buxton is the elder statesman in that outfield group. And it'll allow them to bring up Luke Keeschel if he gets to a point where he wants to play in the outfield, or Emmanuel Rodriguez if he can stay healthy, or you know what? Shoot for the stars, Walker Jenkins. And so we'll see what happens here. Will the Twins miss Max Kepler? I think Twins fans may underrate just a little bit how much they'll miss Kepler. It may not be an obscene amount, but I think there will be a couple times where Matt Wallner will, maybe misplay or just be a step slow on a ball in right field where you'll be like, man, I kind of took for granted that Kepler would have that.
Kepler was, when he was closer to 100%, a very good player. And he was good in the outfield. And there were times when he was, like a zero platoon kind of guy who could hit left-handed pitching as well as right-handed pitching. Very valuable. I think
we should come up with a term, by the way, for a guy who hits much lower in the lineup against another. Maybe that's a Kepler.
Someone who a left-handed batter who goes down in the lineup against
lefties. Yeah, still plays, not a strict platoon, but he's a Kepler. Matt Wallner is going to be a Kepler. He'll lead off against righties and bat sixth against lefties. You know what I mean?
Kepler's fourth law of motion is you will go down 5 or 6 rungs in the lineup.
A slice of Kepleroni. That's what his Twitter handle was for a long time. He kept coming back and forth off and on Twitter. I think he made the right choice to leave the platform for good, though.
I know I should.
Yes.
But a good player, and also a little disappointing at the same time, not like as a personal failure or anything, but just sometimes didn't have healthy seasons or wasn't quite as consistent as you'd hope to get.
I think 2019 set the bar really high too. Like that's the thing.
Well, that's a tough year because I mean, not to denigrate the Bomba squad, but balls around the league were very lively in 2019. Lots of people hit lots of home runs, and it's not just them. It isn't just the Twins. Everybody hit more home runs than they probably
Danny
should have.
Santana hit like 30 home runs that year? I'm going to look it up but I mean, he was playing first base for the Rangers. He's 5'9" or whatever, and ends up hitting, I think, 28 homers in 2019. Close. Guess how many home runs he hit over the rest of his MLB career?
14.
6.
Wow. Gave too much credit.
He played first base, center field, second base, left field, right field, shortstop, third base. That's pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I remember from fantasy that Danny Santana was a guy you could plug in if you wanted to at just about any position. So he had that going for him, which is
he had a
nice.
really great rookie season with like a 390 BABIP or something like that.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole season being like, he can't sustain this. He can't sustain this. And people got really ticked. And I said, here's the deal. I will stand next to him during a press conference with a sign that says, I was wrong about Danny Santana during a video thing if he has a good year the second year.
Right.
And he went 3.8 Baseball Reference WAR that rookie year, minus 1.8 the next year, minus 1.6 the year after that. So I think I was right about Danny Santana.
You don't have to stand anywhere with a sign, Brandon, at least for now, unless everything goes to heck and you got to get a job at Supercuts or
Hey,
something.
I should have a sign that says Danny Santana hasn't played center field in how many days?
Oh no, that guy.
You knew I had to go there, right?
I knew I didn't like that guy for some reason.
Yeah, it's probably because you could smell him from where you're at.
Ugh. All right. Speaking of which, we're going to take a break and talk to. We're going to do it right now. Do it now. We'll go live.
We'll do it live.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Dave, I figured out who that guy on the right reminds me of, and it's remember Sid Hartman?
I do.
He had a right-hand man at the Star Tribune named Jeff Day, and he did not have the curly hair like that, but he looked like that in the face. So it's like if Eno Saris gave his hair to Locks of Love and Jeff wore it, that's what he would look like. It was, and you ever have that where it's like you piece separate things together, and in your head it makes sense, and then you explain it, and someone's like, what? I don't see that at all. Well,
about 10 times a day.
Yeah, in my brain, that's how that works.
So, well, we thank Jake Berger and Eno Saris for that.
My wife thought his name was Enosaurus, like he was a dinosaur.
That's my Dino.
Dinosaurus.
Dinosaurus. So,
The Dinosaurus. Oh boy.
Last thing in today's show. We talked about this, wrote about it a little bit at Puckett's Pond. A study that came out explaining where the bargains are in Major League Baseball. If you want to take your family of four and go to a game, what is the best value that you can get? And while the Twins aren't number one, they are I think I actually wrote number 10 at Puckett's Pond. It's actually number 11. They're the 11th cheapest for a family of four to go to a game in Major League Baseball.
Now, am I wrong, or does that feel about right? Like, you think of, I don't know what a fair proxy is, but like if payroll wise, they're 18th or 19th in MLB, that's 11th from the bottom. And we've kind of come to accept like middle of the road. If you adjust for expectations, would you say like, yeah, that's about right?
Yeah, I would say. And the Twins, I mean, also, if you look at it in terms of TV market, they have the 15th largest the Twin Cities are, according to AC Nielsen. So it's a little bit of a bargain, I would say. It's better than some places. If you look at the cost of tickets, the Twins are only 17th. And that's 4 tickets to a game. So it's cheaper, actually, if you go to places like, funny enough, Angel Stadium. So the Angels, Rate Field, the White Sox, Citi Field, all cheaper. The big 3 cities, the 3 largest in the United States, cheaper tickets to go to New York, suburban Los Angeles, and Chicago, the second team, cheaper than Minnesota. So now I've heard Mets fans complain about the cost of other things when you go to Citi Field. And indeed, when you take into account the other factors that this study did, it's not quite the same kind of bargain going to a Mets game. So, but where the Twins are good, tied for 5th in beer, $10.26 for 2 beers. Does that sound right to you? So you
Seems
can
low.
get 2 beers at Target
Seems
Field
low.
for.
Yeah, it seems low.
Now, this is from data collected 23-24. So, I mean, obviously, it's not 25. The season hasn't started yet. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the problem is I haven't attended a game as a fan outside of like the work functions I have where they pay for the tickets and everything. And
yeah,
I'm not
carpetbagger,
really, yeah, right. I'm not much of a beer drinker either. So like I know generally what it did cost back when I had season tickets, $6.25 or whatever for a tall boy, and that's now 15 years ago. So
right.
no, I think that that's low, although they have had a lot of partnerships and a lot of they've connected with a lot of domestic beers where that's probably a little on the cheaper side, and maybe that's the standard here. And I know they've got I think they have the machines where you vend or like you pour your own, and I don't know. So I don't know how all that factors in, but that to me seems slightly low, but I can't say that for sure.
One thing about the study, here's what they took into account: the cost of 4 tickets, the cost of 2 beers. So we're assuming 2 parents, 2 soft drinks for the kiddies, 4 hot dogs
beer for the kids. Oh, in Milwaukee they had 4 beers because it's for the kids.
Right. Yeah, it's like Europe over there. They're very liberal with their beer, and 4 hot dogs.
Drive safe and you're good.
The cost of parking. And I looked it up. I actually went online and looked at the Metro to see how much it would cost. It's about the same thing to park your car. This says $10.40, $11.40 for Target Field.
No, you can park for about $10. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ramps, like the ramp with the shimmering thing, that's ramp B. I think you'd probably be into it for about 15 if you parked there and got there hour and a half before game time or so. But like with media stuff, we'd get there early enough to get the day rate. And I think it'd be like $12 when I left at 11:30 after getting there at 2:45. So it just the rate, it was like a pay to play rate. Basically, you get the night rate, but premium for the game. So yeah, you could pretty easily park around the stadium for $10 on average, I would say.
And a couple other factors. They make you buy a hat in this study for $24. Now that's one hat. They make you buy one hat for $24 that you have to split up among 4 people, possibly 2 kids.
Yeah,
that's not an easy thing to do. So I don't know. Like, do you wear half the hat for the first 5 innings, and then for the last 4 you give it to the other kid? I don't know. So
you have to adjust for age differences.
True.
So like if your kid's 5 and you have another one that's 4, then it just splits that way.
If you go to a bunch of games, you can get away with quite easily. I mean, you're a grown person. You can tell your kid no. Although you try it sometime with my kids. Yeah. You don't have to buy a hat every time you go to a baseball game,
But if you go to 4 games, everybody gets a hat, and that's,
Yeah, but that's a good point.
$24 though for a hat that's $19.99 prices. That's hats are $39.99 now, $45.99 for a fitted
for a fitted hat, yeah, but you can probably get
a dad hat.
You can get a dad hat for maybe $25. Some hats they're $9.99 at the Diamondbacks game. The Diamondbacks are the cheapest for a family of 4, all in to go to. And I think that's a good deal. They have a good team.
Yeah.
That's a weird place to go. It's kind of like an airplane hangar, although there is a pool in right field. But I think the Twins have a much nicer ballpark. But so a family of 4 at Target Field, $205.45. That seems like a lot of, that just sounds, I always know it's expensive to take my family to a baseball game, and it's just not, it doesn't seem like a lot of money to me anymore, but to working families, I can imagine that's a lot.
$50 a head for an outing for a family is, if you go to the movies, I haven't been to a movie in a long time, $7-8 maybe. I don't know.
No, it's closer to 20 at this point.
Is it now? Yeah. I go so rarely that I don't know.
15
but even
anyway.
$50, I mean, $50 is a concert, $50 is a, Elmo, Sesame Street on Ice, whatever. I think a $50 is pretty substantial. It's not to say that I don't think it's worth it or that I don't think it is for a typical family. They're not going to do that all that often. So
if you get creative with it,
yeah,
and if you get patient and you use your phone for
or game time,
you use Gametime. Exactly.
Game time.
You can get much cheaper prices, or if you do want to put the $50 a ticket in, you can get like kind of premium-ish seats for that if you want to sit close. So there are ways to manipulate it. You don't always have to eat at the ballpark.
Less on tickets, more on money, etc.
You don't have to. You can eat at home. There are things you can do. So
Yeah.
you can watch the game on TV and not go, but sometimes that's expensive too.
I think that ruins the whole study.
Well, let's do it. I'm here to ruin things. And speaking of ruining things, I want you to know that we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. That's baseball guru Sully to you. He brings a daily blend of humor and baseball and keeps you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So that closes this one out. It's going to be T-minus 5 days to opening day pretty soon. So for Brandon Warren, I'm Dave Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening and saying that we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.